During that same trip, this is again about 15 years ago, that was my first time to fly first class. I was thrilled and was prepared. That was a long flight, so I hoped to be able to sleep overnight so that I could wake up all refreshed and energized the next day. After all, I had this convention to go to, right? So, at about 2 a.m., I heard what we always hear in the movies. Is there a doctor on the plane? So at 2 a.m., I'm trying to get some sleep. I'm like, who's going to want a psychiatrist on the plane? Who's going to want a psychiatrist on the plane? I wasn't hearing anyone screaming or anything. So I was like, you know, they probably want another doctor. I try to fall asleep again, and about 10 minutes later, I hear that again. You know, this is an emergency. Is there a doctor on the plane? No, I couldn't resist by then. So I stand up, and I start going into the coach cabin. And I see this picture. There's a lady on the aisle seat. She's moaning and she's in pain, you can tell. She's grabbing her chest and going like, oh. And then all of a sudden, she goes unconscious again. There's a man next to her, and there's a lady sitting next to the man. And there's a flight attendant next to her, and about 3 other people sitting next to her. So as I start approaching, what happens? One of these people goes like, well, as a cardiologist, I think she's just had a heart attack. I'm just looking at this time. Now, as I could see the lady bringing her arms up and down, I'm like, that's possible. But there was also a neurologist on the flight. And the neurologist said, I disagree. I think she's had a stroke. So as I start going around, the lady had thrown up too. There was a third doctor. I don't know if he was a gastroenterologist or if he was a primary care doctor or an ER physician, but he thought she had had a perforated ulcer. So by then, I was scratching my head. I was saying, I really don't know what's going on here. But what do psychiatrists do best? We talk. So I went on to speak to this lady's husband right next to her. And I started asking about her story. What happened? Well, he said, and his daughter, the daughter also interjected, Mom has panic attacks. She always takes a benzodiazepine prior to her flights. But she didn't take any benzodiazepines during this flight. She drank instead. There was my diagnosis. She's drunk! So I tell the flight attendants, look, I think this lady's going to be fine. She's drunk. So make her comfortable. Bring her to the back of the, bring her to first class or to the back of the plane. Make her comfortable. Make sure she can rest overnight so that tomorrow morning she can wake up and feel a little bit better. Give her plenty of fluids. They were thrilled. The flight attendants were so happy that, they felt that someone knew what was going on. It was a simple diagnosis after all, right? That they insisted I take a case full of wine. I said, no wine, please, thank you, that's fine. So, because they insisted, they gave me a couple of bottles of champagne. No chocolate, but champagne was good. So I was very thankful. So in the end, experts sometimes get it right, but sometimes we also jump into conclusions and we don't take a good history. We don't take the time to see what people are really going through.